All right, let's get started. So today's webinar, which we're pleased to have today, is about delighting customers at every point of engagement. And I'm really excited about this topic because I think it's a really critical one. And I'm joined by two awesome companies and two veterans that are terrific, and we're going to hear from them more in a little bit. One of the focuses here is about transforming the in-store experience with mobile technology, and I know that this topic is on a lot of people's minds, certainly our executive teams as well as our operational teams. But first I want to introduce our speakers alongside me. So Bill Zajewski is the EVP of Marketing at Tulip Retail, which is a company that offers the mobile platform for next-generation store associates. And he's a veteran in the space that I've known for a while and has worked with retailers through two Internet of Things solution providers as well as Oracle ATG. And Bill's going to share some of his perspective in addition to more about Tulip. Also, we're joined by Dominique Essig, the Chief Experience Officer at Bonobos, an e-com-driven men's apparel company, and I think one of the most innovative. And they're now driving the omni-channel vision with their physical guide shop. Previously, Dominique ran product management, user experience, and design at Guild, and that's on top of several product and operational roles at Travelocity and other companies. I'm Bernadine, and I'm the founder and CEO of FitForCommerce. We're a specialized advisory and consultancy that helps digital businesses make smarter investment decisions, all around strategy, technology, marketing, merchandising, operations, organization, growth, well, you name it. That's what we do. We're consultants. But what we're really excited about is this topic here. And just to give you a quick glimpse of what we're going to cover, we will talk a bit about industry and trends. We'll talk about strategy around the customer experience, which of course is just so critical now. We're excited to hear about the Bonobo story, and then sort of this big picture challenge around the digital shopping and the omni-channel world, and then how we think store associates are really a critical component of that. I encourage you to ask questions along the way. If you look in your panel, there is a Q&A tool, and if you just ask questions in there, you can either direct them to a particular speaker. I will be monitoring those, and I'll be facilitating the Q&A, which we'll save towards the end. But please do ask us questions along the way. Also, this webinar is being recorded, and for all those who have registered, we will send both a copy of the slides as well as a recording of the webinar so that you can share it amongst your teams. A bit more about FitForCommerce. We are a digital consultancy. Our specialty is in helping online businesses accelerate growth. We're a trusted advisor to many brands and retailers. You can see a client sampling here. And we have this notion of digital diligence, which is our philosophy around making investment decisions. And that investment decision could be around a strategy, choosing a team, choosing a technology, or building out your annual budget. And so it's with this lens of digital diligence that we normally come at these either opportunities or challenges around growing using digital, which is why we think this topic of how the store plays into the whole customer experience and customer service and store associates is so important. We also run NRF's Omnichannel Retail Index. We do a lot of benchmarking, and we run the Innovation Office. I invite you to visit our site to find out more about that. Bill, can you tell us a bit about Tulip?
Sure. Hello, everyone. This is Bill Zajewski. Quick overview of Tulip. So we are a cloud-based software company focused on retail stores. Specifically, we provide a mobile retail platform for store associates and store managers, right? And we offer 4 suites. You see them listed there: clienteling, a checkout suite, assisted selling, and store communications. And our mission is pretty simple. We partner with brick and mortar retailers to really transform their in-store shopping experience, right? We try to make retailers best in class using mobile technology in the store and empower their store associates, right? So they can improve service, sell better, sell more, and really drive loyalty. In a nutshell, that's what we do, and I'll get into a little bit more with a little demo of our application at the very end.
Great, thanks, Bill. All right, so just to set the stage today, I think no one would disagree that the expectations of from our customers is growing and getting more sophisticated around how and where and when I'm going to say she because that's not a habit, but we know that men are shopping more these days, but how our customer wants to interact with us, and it's usually on her terms, not on our terms. And so the store and a physical presence, and now stores are not necessarily just permanent stores. There are pop-up stores and guide shops, and we're seeing a lot more variety there. This hyper-connected customer wants that online experience in the store. They want the best of both worlds, the selection and convenience associated with online shopping, along with the enhanced service, personalized touch, maybe even instant gratification that they can get from shopping in store. So who is often at the epicenter of this, of course, is we think our store associates. They are still our greatest assets for connecting with shoppers and delivering a great brand experience, as well as finding and selling the products, converting sales, and building loyalty. That's a tall order to ask of someone who is managing quite a number of interactions within a store. Here are some of the findings from the NRF FitForCommerce Omnichannel Retail Index, which is a study that's performed twice a year and is industry-wide and provides some interesting insights into sort of who's doing what and what is the adoption of key omnichannel features. In this case, 63% of retailers empower sales associates to look up items online or from another store. This is sort of your notion of endless aisle in finding, a different size or a different color. 61% of retailers offer buy in store and ship anywhere, and 32% of retailers offer the ability to buy online and pick up in store. All of these are digitally enabled capabilities, but are powerful capabilities to offer from the store. When we think about omnichannel, we think about it in three sort of buckets. And what I have found is that a lot of brands and retailers maybe are tackling one of these, maybe two, or they've mastered one or two. But it's really hard to tackle all three of these. The first area is omnichannel and digital marketing. So are we speaking to her in a channel agnostic way or a channel coordinated way? And do we have a single view of her across all of our marketing? In the middle is the customer experience. When she is engaged with us, then are we presenting merchandise? Are we presenting content? Are we serving her as a customer in a way that is, again, omnichannel or channel agnostic? And then lastly, the last piece doesn't touch the customer, but it's all the work and all the data and all the process and integrations that need to be done behind the scenes. And in order to master omnichannel, one has to really nail all these three different areas and then some. And then, of course, now personalization is the holy grail. It's the new omnichannel. And so what many of us are striving for is knowing her, knowing how to serve her, again, in this wherever, however world that she lives in. We're also out to thrill the customer. And that means aligning the technologies as well as the marketing and operations and having the resources to make it happen. So again, it starts with the customer, and how we know him is critical. But knowing how to support her experience so that we find and fill the gaps where we can, that's our job to do. And this couldn't be more true. Today's best practices will be tomorrow's table stakes. And today's innovations will be tomorrow's best practices. So this pace of change is just going to keep getting faster and faster, which is all the more reason that a culture and a process of testing, adjusting, as they say, rinse and repeat over and over is really critical. And it makes me wonder how within our organizations we are adapting these kinds of processes and strategies. So constant diligence is important. And all of this is about driving omnichannel aspirations in support of that very important customer journey. Dominique, would you share about Bonobos with us?
Sure. Thank you so much. Very happy to be here with you, Bernadine and Bill. So just to give a quick overview for all of those folks out there who are not familiar with Bonobos, it's a company that was started in 2007 by two founders with really the idea of solving two problems. One, creating a better fitting men's pant. And you can see we've done that with our curved waistband, and it's kind of more of a medium and flattering rise, a trimmer cut through the thigh, really changed the way that men thought about fashion. And secondly, also thinking about how they shop for clothes. We've done that, and we've continued to expand our assortment through the entire aspect of the closet, really covering everything for our guys, from bathing suits to tuxedos. At Bonobos, we think primarily about creating great customer experiences for our guys, for our customers. And we do that in a couple ways, as I talked about, clearly with the product that we're creating, and also the experience that we create. So we have 34 guide shops around the country, which I'll talk more about, our superior customer service team, also known as our ninjas, free shipping and returns, and a 90-day return policy. What we saw in 2011 was an evolution of how guys were thinking about shopping. They were excited about our product, they were excited about our offering, but they still wanted the idea to pop into a store and try on our product, to feel it. And it really led to an aha moment for Bonobos. And that created the idea behind the guide shops. For those of you that aren't aware, as I said, we have 34 around the country. Guide shops are a physical opportunity for customers to come in and experience our brand. What we found is they got to try on the clothes, understand more about our offering, and really get a sense of who we were as a company. Now, the challenge with having 34 stores around the country, your product assortment growing every day, and also having kind of rapid growth on your associate side, or our guides as we like to call them, is we really needed a better way for our guides to be able to connect, use the tools, and make sure that they were creating a seamless customer experience. So what our goal was to launch a single point of sale that created a better, smoother, customer-friendly shopping journey that covered everything from the moment that a customer walked into our guide shop, when they created an appointment, to browsing our catalog, to placing orders, managing the customer's profile, managing stock, processing returns and exchanges, and that our guides were well equipped to make sure they could seamlessly do that for our customers. So it needed to be one tool, and it needed to also integrate with our customer profile and accounts across all our channels and devices. Now that sounds simple, but you can imagine that could be quite a large technology request. So what Bonobos did was partner with Tulip, and we rolled out a new point of sale to pilot in 4 stores in January of 2016, capturing some feedback from our guides, also watching and managing our customer Net Promoter Score very, very closely. We rolled out this point of sale to all of our stores in April 2016. So now it's important to use one technology that creates a great experience for guides, but it's also incredibly important to understand how did this impact our business. And what we found was that we were able to measure success when we rolled out to the 4 pilot stores. And we saw higher satisfaction scores. We saw increases in our key metrics around average order value and units per transaction. And we also saw rising Net Promoter Scores. It was incredibly important too that we made sure not only was our point of sale allowing our customers to have a great experience and our guides to have a great experience, but it was incredibly important that we could capture all of the information that was happening in store and bringing that back to our data warehouse. And I think this is really where Tulip was allowing us to be successful. Every transaction that happened in a store came back into our data warehouse, which allowed our marketing team and our merchandising teams and really our entire Bonobos team to think about this holistic omni-channel experience. But I think what was more important than just looking at the metrics that you see here, which were incredibly compelling for us, was thinking about also what were customers feeling. Prior to using the Tulip point of sale, customers were greeted with a guide who went through the styling process. But what happened is the customer became very distracted because the guide was creating that transaction on a computer. When we physically removed the desktop or the laptop that was between the customer and the guide, what happened is that customers really started to understand and clearly see the value that our guide shop employees were having, that they were creating more of a relationship. So they focused less on the transaction and more on the experience around styling and the relationship that we were building. So as I said, while technology was incredibly important for us to make sure that we were creating a great experience for our guide and for our customers, I think what was the really important focus for us was that we were creating a long-term relationship with our customers. So what's next for Bonobos and Tulip? We've seen great success in rolling out the point of sale in all of our locations, and we continue to do that with every new store that we roll out. And our goal next is to continue the evolution of clienteling to make sure that we extend the relationship of the guide and the customer beyond the four walls. And so clienteling, a new service and offering that Tulip has launched, will allow Bonobos to make sure that we're creating easier follow-ups for our store associates, that we increase in-store and at-home conversion, and that we really enable standardized communication with clients, and that we allow the guides to be more successful. So we're very, very excited about this new phase, and we'll be rolling that out to our stores as well and piloting that going forward. Bill, can I hand it over to you?
Yes, I think we have a poll coming. So let's get that poll going. Here it is. What is the status of implementing mobile apps for your store associates? So basically, are you currently just researching what you're going to do with mobile solutions in the store? Or are you beyond researching? You're actually planning or implementing something? Have you already deployed basic capabilities? Is number 3 there. Or do you feel you're ahead of the curve here and you're actually deployed best-in-class capabilities? Or at this point, really, you're on this call just to feel it out, but really at this point you have no interest. And it's not a high priority, maybe because of the category you're in. So curious to see what our audience thinks of where they are, you know, in this life cycle of deploying mobile apps in the store. So let's give everyone a few seconds more here to go ahead and check a box, and then we'll see the results in a few minutes, real time, I believe. Okay, so well, that makes sense. People are probably on this call to do more research. That's the number 1 answer. So we'll hopefully provide some knowledge. I thought, Dom, your story is such a great success story. Love the ROI, and I'll get to a business case model that we use at the very end of my slides in helping, you know, our customers, you know, build those business cases. You can see not many people have deployed, so that's consistent with what we're seeing as well. So let's go ahead and click to the next slide now that we have the results in, and I'm going to take over control. Okay, so let's see, waiting for that. There we go. So at Tulip, we believe the store associate is the most important asset a retailer has, right? We're in a hyper-competitive retail shopping environment, and sometimes it's hard to differentiate versus your competitors. And in fact, the store associate is a great way to differentiate, right? They can offer personalized service in the store, build that relationship, create a superior experience, right? In fact, it could be your biggest defense against Amazon and online pure plays. In fact, we've heard that from a couple of our customers. That was their exact quote. In fact, it's our best defense against Amazon. The challenge, though, despite that, what we've seen is the workers, the store associates, the store managers have been underserved with technology and innovative solutions over the last decade. Most of the investment retailers have made, especially the big investments, has gone into their e-commerce online experience, right? And as a result, what we're seeing is a customer, a visitor to the store walks in, and they have done some research, they've got their mobile device in their hand, and they're often more informed than the store associate themselves, right? We call this here at Tulip a digital divide between the associate and the customer, right? That associate doesn't have a mobile app yet, They've got pen and paper in the register, and sometimes they're even anchored at that front desk because that's the only access to technology they have. And that's what we're trying to solve with Tulip, right? We're trying to get them to be more informed, turn that associate into a beacon of knowledge, a trusted advisor, you know, a brand ambassador, or I like the Bonobos term, you know, turn them into a style guide, right? It's a great way, mobile technology is, to get to that point. So here on this slide, we at Tulip have documented a maturity model for the retail store shopping experience relative to their use of mobile technology right here. Here you see 4 major phases of that maturity model. Left to right, most people are on the left half here, as we saw from our poll that we did recently, which is they may only have basic capabilities. In fact, the first column there, ad hoc, they may be using their own phone to do this, right? They may be accessing the e-commerce site on their own, getting on corporate email, using Dropbox and doing some document sharing. Very ad hoc use, often on a device that is their own, right? But then we see phase 2 there, what we call kind of mobile device focused, mobile enhanced, where some device, usually some point solution, has been rolled out. The retailer has invested in mobile devices dedicated to the store associate. It may only be a couple at the front desk that's shared. And some of the common use cases we see is the ability to swipe a card and check someone out, right? Line busting. Maybe an inventory lookup to see if something's in stock, or maybe the ability to go online and do some ordering. Right? That's usually phase 2 or phase 1 of a corporate-driven initiative. Phase 3, you get into more advanced capabilities, right? You get into omni-channel checkout, omni-channel catalog, endless aisle capabilities. When things are out of stock, they can go ahead and order on behalf of the customer. They start clienteling, so they start to manage a customer black book. They start to message directly with the customer. They also may use the device for corporate collaboration, collaborating with other store associates, with merchandisers, with store managers, and things like that. And it's really a great step beyond mobile enhanced, where you're really customer centric at this point. The good news is you're omni-channel and you've got some basic clienteling in place. Best in class goes even one step further, really, where you start getting into a relationship centric type solution. That's more personalized, right? So a sales associate comes in the morning, they've got their dashboard of what they're going to work on that day, their goals for the day. They got the ability to personalize their messaging via text messages and emails with templates that they get to say the right thing to their prospects and customers. Everything starts to be automated. Someone buys something, there's an automated follow-up. Someone has a birthday, there's an automated follow-up for that. Their tasks are guided by their managers and corporate, so all the tasks are in front of them. The content they serve up and show to store shoppers is more targeted, right? There's some analytics now involved where they can make more intelligent offers based on a recommendation engine or what they've bought in the past, right? They can do some look building on the spot where they can throw together outfits or go into lookbooks and share that shoulder to shoulder with customers. There's analytics now, like Dom mentioned, where the beauty of e-commerce has always been every click and everything that happens online you can track, and marketing and merchandising and strategists can use all that data. Well, now you can do the same thing in the store, right? All of a sudden now you can track the visitors coming into the store, the conversion rates of them being turned into lookers to buyers. You can see how long their engagement period is. With mobile apps driving that experience, it's amazing how much valuable data now you can collect to analyze the in-store shopping experience. And lastly, you start to getting into advanced collaboration around merchandising, visual merchandising, sharing planograms, images of what is set up in the store, sending them back to corporate, right? So someone who's done this right is trying to capture the top 20 tasks a store associate and store manager does in the store and make those automated and at their fingertips in this mobile app. So what is Tulip's role? You know, how do we play in this kind of environment? Well, we're a solution provider that provides two things. We provide a platform and a set of out-of-the-box applications that run on mobile devices. So here you see kind of a architecture of the key pieces. We typically start with a strategy session with the customer to go over their priorities, their pain points in the store, and determine, you know, where they should start. But no matter where they start, there's always a set of integrations that has to be done, and that's where Tulip's platform comes into play. We provide the plumbing to do those integrations to leverage your existing systems. We kind of coexist with your e-commerce, CRM, OMS, and inventory systems you have. So we don't want to be the point of truth and reinvent all those systems. We have a bunch of connectors for the most popular systems that retailers use, and we cache that all into the cloud for rapid response. So we have a data store in there for data management. We have a mobile app framework. We have a commerce engine for processing payments and the shopping cart, and then tools to extend our application. Now, on top of our platform, we've captured the best practices of store associates working with over a dozen of our customers over the last year, right? So these are our 4 suites, and I'll show you some of the screenshots in a second. We have an assisted selling suite, which is really putting the catalog online. So a store associate can quickly look up a product SKU, get detailed information, ratings and reviews, imagery, pricing, promotions, inventory in the current store, other stores, or even online, so that there's no way they're walking out of that store without finding a product in another store or online, right? Saving the sale. So that's the assisted selling suite that we offer. We also offer clienteling, so the ability to maintain a client book and customer information access for the store associate. Someone walks in the door, we look up that customer's record, we get all their preferences, and now we can start interacting with them, following up when they leave the store. We have a full-blown checkout suite, so we can go ahead and store things in a shopping cart, and then move things. If associates juggling two or three customers at the same time, they can bounce around between carts, check them out when they're ready to check out, and accept payment right there. For Bonomos, you heard, we're their actual mobile POS solution for all transactions in the store. So we can be that point of sale, but in most cases we're not. We're basically exposing a point of sale system already in place via our mobile apps. And lastly, the last suite is really less about the customer and more about employee to employee and employee to manager collaboration, sharing of documents, sharing of tasks, announcements, rolling out training, things like that. So in a nutshell, that's our offering. So let's step through some of the screens, right? Let's take a sneak peek here. So typically, associate comes in, they'll power up Tulip. One of the first things they'll see is the associate dashboard, and there they'll have any messages that came in from their manager or other store associates. They'll have their tasks for the day, their training tasks if they need to take any training. They'll see how they're doing against their targeted goals and what their actual sales are against those targets. They'll see whose birthdays are scheduled today and what follow-ups they need to follow through on. So quick snapshot of their day. Someone walks in the store, again, they'll go ahead and start shoulder to shoulder interacting with the customer with that mobile device in their hand. And if they find something's not in stock, right, they'll go ahead and quickly see if it's in stock in another store or online and help place that order. They can log in with the customer there and place the order on the customer's behalf. They can do it mixed order. That means they can put something in their cart that is in the store, put something in their cart that's online, and with one swipe they can process the complete order. So a seamless kind of experience. The other thing they can do is drill down on that customer's information. So they can go ahead and look at their size, what they bought in the past, and essentially any of the personal preferences they have that they've recorded. There's a notebook inside of Tulip, so they can record notes after a customer leaves so that when they come back in, they have their notes. A rich customer profile is one of the keys to personalizing that experience next time that customer comes in to visit. And we also integrate with analytics and business intelligence systems, and we track some of this data in our system if need be. But you can see here a snapshot of the value of a customer that this specific customer has. So we can see what their score is relative to other customers. Are they a high value customer? What's the probability that they're purchased that we figured out based on analytics? You know, what is their lifetime value? How much they've spent with us in the past, right? So think of a busy day here and you have to prioritize where you're spending your time. You're going to spend your time with your high value customers who are in that store, right? The ones you know are more likely to convert or more likely to buy more. And this analytics gives them some visibility into that. The other thing the associate would want to see is what they've bought in the past. So we have two ways to do that. You could look at a listing here of previous transactions for that customer, or we have something called the closet. We have a quick glimpse of just the images of the past products they bought. So the top, the pants, the bag, and quickly you can start to think about what their style preferences are, color preferences, you know, what persona they are, but also have recommendations for cross-sells and accessories for things they've bought in the past. Real important in driving a higher order value. The other cool thing is most of our customers do an e-commerce integration, and there we could also leverage their browsing history for additional context of what they've been doing. So here's just a snapshot of the last 6 products a customer browsed when they were online. Again, the goal is to have them sell better, sell more here, and the probability of them doing that goes up if they know what the customer's already interested in when they walk into the store, right? It allows them to have a more intelligent conversation in the store when they're there shoulder to shoulder. The last thing I'll mention in terms of, well, 2 more things. First, the clienteling capabilities. So a lot of our customers, I shouldn't say a lot, a couple found out that there was some what we would call almost rogue, or they called rogue clienteling, where people were using, store associates were using their own phone, their own emails, Gmail, their own text messaging to start to build relationships, right? Challenge there was a few things. 1, there was no visibility into what they were saying. 2, their associate would turn over and we lose all the context of that conversation. 3, we couldn't give them, you know, tips and tricks of the right thing to say in order to engage a customer. So a real important part of the solution is to get them using the templates, save them time, and saying the right thing. The other cool thing a couple of our customers are doing is start to almost gamify the associate behavior and associate workload. So here's one of the dashboards we provide for an associate to see how they're doing. You know, how are they populating their black book? How many follow-ups have they done? How are their sales? How many emails, SMSs they sent? How many looks did they send? The cool thing is you could also set up a leaderboard and set up a little friendly competition amongst the associates in the store, and you know, and drive them to do better and to do more clienteling. So just a couple things, little things like that, start to help adoption of the Tulip application in the store as well, because they find this kind of useful when they come into work and see how they're doing, right? Everyone wants to see how they're doing against their goals, and this is one way to do it. So I've got a couple minutes, then we'll open it up to Q&A. One last slide here is the business case. So where do you start? Right, there has to be a return on the investment. This is not free. You have to buy the Tulip solution, software as a service, so it's manageable in terms of you pay as you go, so to speak. But it is an investment in people's time and technology, and there has to be a return on the investment. And really, there's 2 halves here to this business case that our customers build. There's the increased revenue or maximized revenue side, and there's the cost side. So let's look at the left side here, the revenue side. And there's 3 knobs. This isn't anything you probably haven't seen in the past. You probably have a very similar business or ROI model on the e-commerce side, which is how are you going to grow sales? Really three knobs. Get more people in the store. So how do I drive up number of visits? How do I increase the conversion rate is the second knob, or how do I increase the average order value, right? Those are the three knobs. And how does a mobile app in the hands of associates do that? Well, first of all, if you start clienteling with these personalized texts and emails and invitations and promotions, clienteling is a great way to get people to come in the store that might not have come in the store without that little prodding, right? The other thing is if they have a better experience, they're likely to come in, so you get more visitors that way. The other thing you can do is increase the order value. So how do you do that? Well, if you arm the associates with more intelligent cross-sells and upsells, or more outfits, or more accessories to sell, and the right information, and give them ways to encourage impulsive buying for that associate, you're going to help the associate drive larger order values. And then the last one, which is probably one of the most important, is the conversion rate. How do we make sure they don't leave the store without buying something or buying what they came to? And that endless aisle and line busting are two great techniques for that, right? If it's out of stock in the store, get them to buy it online before they leave the store. If it's a line at the register and they don't want to wait in that long line, have the associate have the ability to swipe a card in the aisle and get them to check out without having to wait in line, right? Two obvious techniques. The other thing for conversion rates is if you have better training, better merchandising and promotions via the spoon feeding of those to the associate via the app, you know, you're more likely to have higher conversion rates. Okay, so on the cost side, two really buckets there. The IT costs, if you're looking at building this yourself, half our customers tried that and then end up coming back to us after they realize it's not that easy. So the cost of hardware, software via cloud out-of-the-box solution is always going to have better economics than to build it yourself. The other way to drive costs down is a lot of the training you do can be done via these mobile apps, and a lot of the churn can be reduced by improving that store associate's work experience. So to wrap up here, store associates, store managers are super valuable, right? Top retailers are investing in these associates, and these mobile apps can help them better service the customer, sell better, sell more, and create loyal customers. So if you're not doing it, you're falling behind. Just start looking at other stores and all other competitors. The train has kind of left the station here. This is a big wave we're seeing in brick and mortar stores this year and next year for sure as well. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up and pass it back to Bernadine, and we're going to start going through the Q&A.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for a terrific review and some ideas around what retailers can do in store. I couldn't agree more on not falling behind. As we saw earlier in the Omnichannel Retail Index, 63% of retailers are empowering their store associates with some kind of digital capability. And as we all shop in stores now, we see that becoming ever more so. So we've got quite a number of questions teed up, and I will cycle through a couple of these. I've got a couple of questions on this one, which is just from a retail category or product category perspective, are there certain ones that lend themselves better to empowering associates with mobile devices and these kinds of tools? Bill, maybe take that one.
Sure, yeah, I was going to say, let me take a pass at that one. So clearly the apparel categories and luxury categories are a no-brainer. There's a relationship you can build via clienteling, and these are purchases that are very thoughtful. So an associate becomes a style guide and can build a relationship. But almost every category can benefit from some of the other use cases that a mobile device can't provide. A lot of categories need knowledgeable associates. So let me give you an example. Toys R Us and Babies R Us, big customer of ours, where customers would walk in the store and really did some homework on a stroller or a car seat. And if you're not able to become a product expert and provide them that last mile of guidance, of comparing products, making sure there's no recall on it, seeing what the consumer reports rating is, little things like that can add up to helping close the deal. So anytime a product needs some product research and validation by associate that they've done their research, a mobile app can help. And that includes home improvement, furniture, jewelry, you name it. Almost all those categories can benefit from product information knowledge and endless aisle. The other one is line busting, right? Especially during the holidays. You know, there is a peak wave of customers and you're going to have crowds, at least the good retailers are. And a great place to start there is just mobile POS. And then lastly is just the employee efficiency tools, right, for helping them merchandise, get trained, collaborate with their boss and their manager, things like that. The mobile app in the hands is a great way to train and engage employees. So I would say we haven't seen a category yet that eventually won't have a mobile device in their hand for their workers.
Yeah, and this is, Dominique, just to kind of reiterate, I think, what Bill said. You know, we have found that having the mobile point of sale for our guides is important regardless of the size of transaction. And I think what customers really resonate for us is because we're doing that on an iPad, the guide and the customer are able to kind of seamlessly walk around the store. And so whether they're buying, you know, a tuxedo or an expensive suit, or whether they're buying t-shirts and swim shorts, you know, I think that flexibility to jump through the store and across categories has been really freeing for them. They don't feel tied to having to stay in one section of the store. So it's been really incredible, and I think really does span across, regardless of the AOV that your customer may be buying. That flexibility that Bill talked to is actually, I think, very, very important.
I think what you guys are pointing out is that there are many benefits to this, and so any particular retailer could, you know, just be focused on one or two of those, or all 5 or 6 of those. I didn't really count, but it just seemed like there are a lot of different angles to this that one can really build a business case around. When you guys were implementing this, how did you drive adoption of you know, using mobile? How did you get stores to embrace these solutions and the associates to use it regularly?
Yeah.
And then were there any, I'm kind of combining two questions here, and what were the biggest challenges to this, and any surprising solutions to that?
Sure. So when I think what's important for folks to understand here about Bonobos, we don't have a cash register in our store because of our model, which means that you come in, try on your clothes, and then we actually ship them to you in 1 to 5 business days. We don't carry physical inventory. And so for us, it was actually pretty seamless to go into a mobile device. What we went from was, you know, Apple MacBook Airs, where the guide is walking around with this kind of large device around the store, into using a mobile point of sale, and we went into kind of a rather large iPad. And what we've actually found as we've continued to drive evolution around mobile point of sale is the devices actually keep getting smaller. And so now we're actually, you know, on an iPad mini. And so I think what the guide has just found so freeing is that they can add things to the cart, talk with the consumer, show them pictures, zoom in, because we don't carry every size and every color in the store. They're able to easily access the product catalog, and that having that mobile device is just so easy, and then they can put it right down and continue to talk with the customer. I think when, you know, for us around adoption, it wasn't hard. I think initially guides were pretty concerned to lose their keyboard, and what we found just doing a lot of research and a lot of usability testing is they continue to just love how small the device got, and they felt really empowered, as I talked about before, the ability to walk around the store and still make sure that they could you know, satisfy every request that the customer had. So we didn't see a lot of challenges around adoption. In fact, I think there had been some initial hesitation on using a smaller device, and then actually once they started to do it and we piloted it across a couple of key stores, the response from our guides was overwhelming. Incredible excitement, and really freeing that they could more focus on the close and the customer, and less carrying around this kind of clunky device like a MacBook Pro.
And you mentioned training using or build it in terms of mobile training, and it doesn't have to be classroom training. Can you elaborate on your training program?
Sure. Unfortunately, probably like everybody else who's on the phone, we really, don't have the luxury and the time when you're moving so fast to do classroom training. I think what was so great about our implementation and what we rolled out to our guides is that it looked very similar to our web experience, which they were familiar with. Although we did make modifications that was more guide friendly. And so I think what I would really stress and the importance to this team is to really make sure that you are talking with your store associates, you're talking with your guides, you're doing some usability. But we found that the device and the application, that the Tulip app, was so easy that we were able to really control, what were the stages, how were they going through it. So because we did a lot of that thinking and conversations with the guide, when we rolled it out, training was pretty simple, and it allows us to train kind of on the floor and not necessarily having to do, 5 days of classroom. And so I think having using the Tulip team as well as using our store associates as a part of that process was incredibly important.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Dom. One thing we spend a lot of time with is we're a strategic partner with Apple, and they have a HIG group, a human interface group, that we make sure they review our UI so that it complies with all their usability standards. And you're exactly right. That app should be so easy to use that within 5 minutes they're navigating it, getting to the areas they need to do their jobs without any kind of classroom training. In terms of adoption, we really saw 3 big steps. First of all, you need the executive sponsor, right? This is a big change management kind of process. So you need someone to make sure everyone in the company buys in, is committed to this launch of a mobile app in the stores. The second thing you just mentioned, Dom, which is spend some time with the associates and make sure you focused on the use cases that will really make a difference for their jobs, right? Make sure the app is going to add a tremendous value, because then they'll use it if it adds value to doing their job. But third, I want to mention is we have a retail excellence group. So we have a group of ex-retailers who work for us who go out and help launch the application. We actually do a marketing campaign across all the stores with some brochures, with some email campaigns to get the whole company and all the store managers and associates ready for the launch. And then we also create little training videos for them and get everyone kind of excited about the launch. And we do a big launch event. So there is some best practices in launching, Tulip on day one that we kind of adhere to.
Great, thanks for that. Quick question for you. Does a retailer necessarily need to replace their POS? Or can this work in conjunction with an existing POS?
No, in fact, most of our customers, I would say 80% of them use their current POS, and we either capture the cart information and pass it to their POS, or in some cases, we are capturing the order information and passing it to their e-commerce engine for fulfillment. So either of those, there's multiple approaches we can use, but in most cases, we're coexisting with a POS that already exists. Of course, Bonobos was one of those edge cases where we didn't do that, and they're actually using us for POS.
Right, right. So I know this doesn't apply for Bonobos because you're not really the customer's not walking out with the product. So, Bill, for the most part, other retailers that are using a mobile POS, traditional checkout type things at a store, like bagging, detagging of security tags, printing receipts, etc. Is it kind of like the Apple Store?
Yes. So some basically take baby steps and still use us mostly for clienteling and completing endless aisle orders, but still have a front desk where you still go to the register for some of the experience. Others who have empowered the swiping of a card with a device attached to the iPad or phone are able to complete the transaction in the aisle. The retail store that Apple provides is the model experience that we go after. It kind of, we spend a lot of time with Apple and reviewing some of the things that they've put in the associates' hands to make sure they've been doing it for so long that we kind of embrace those lessons learned.
And if someone is paying in cash?
We have integration with the register as well, Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, so we could actually handle a cash transaction via the mobile app as well.
Got it. Okay. And another quick question for you. Best practice, is it companies providing the mobile devices or having store associates use their own?
I can go first, Dom, and then you can add some color here. But so far, we've seen every retailer so far provide their own device. There's several big drivers for that. One is obviously security. The other thing is having an uninterrupted experience. The last thing you want is personal things popping up on their phone and device when they're in the middle of a shoulder-to-shoulder, conversation. So, and then also the last thing is just the convenience of having two devices for the associates, so that when they leave work, we're not bothering them. They can actually disconnect. For those who want a culture where, workers can disconnect when they leave the device in the store, and, they're back to their own personal device out of hours.
Yeah, just to follow up with Bill, so for our store associates and our guide shops around the country, we provide the iPads, and I think Bill hit the head on the kind of number one most important reason, which is really security, and which is one of the areas that my team owns as well, and IT infrastructure. So, there's great technology now to lock down devices. So, it's not an insignificant investment when you think about the number of iPads you might purchase as an organization. And so there's a great, tremendous remote management technology that allows you, in case something happens where a device is lost or stolen, you can lock down. You make sure that your environment is secure, that your customers are secure. So I'd highly recommend those folks on the webinar to make sure that they, one, I think, provide devices. Two, look at remote management software. There's a ton of them out there that are great and very affordable. And I think that would be just smart from an investment standpoint as well.
Yeah, and we do partner with the most common MDM, mobile device management platforms out there to add additional layer of security, control, automated upgrades, feature releases, things like that. So that's definitely part of the solution as well.
Yeah, for Bonobos, like as I said, we use the iPad minis, and then we actually use a case, and we actually have our payment processing point of sale that sits on top of that. It's all in a singular device. It's very easy because it's all connected, so our associates don't have to walk around with like 4 devices. It's really one simple device. It charges all together, and it's incredibly easy to manage, to charge, and to make sure that you're being secure.
Thanks. So there's let me clarify a question here. Someone's asking about using their own Apple devices. The distinction we're making is between the store associates using their mobile devices versus the company's devices. So if you as a company already have 4,000 Apple devices, you absolutely can use those with Tulip with the Tulip software.
Correct. What we're advocating is not to bring your own device for the solution, but use a company-issued device.
Right, exactly. Here's an interesting question. Do you find any connection, or is this creating any sort of connection between the store associate with the business or corporate associate, like merchandisers, inventory managers, sort of back at headquarters? And maybe that's in the scenario where, because there's more information captured about customers, about their shopping behaviors, about what they're trying on and not buying, I'm sure that's rich data that can get fed back to the merchandising team, the buying team, the marketing team. Are you guys seeing any other examples of how that might help, back at the ranch?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is Dominique. I can take that first. So I think by the migration and kind of move to the devices, what it has done is created a tighter connection with our technology team and with our store associates team. You know, the job of the technology team in this situation is to make sure that we are delivering solutions that allow our guides to be successful because they create great experiences for our customers. And so when the associates in store don't have to think about the technology and it works for them seamlessly, you know, that really is the best case scenario. And so what we've created now is a tighter relationship between our kind of technology organization, our associates organization. They have, you know, tremendous insight as to what customers are saying and how the application is working. And so that's been phenomenal. And then we already have a really tight relationship with merchandising and technology. So what we've created is this kind of path of information that's happening, you know, coming from customers to guides, from guides to technology, back to kind of the hub, or to, you know, corporate, as you might say, or the headquarters. And I think it's really created enriching conversations about how we can continue to create great experiences. So that's what's definitely worked for Bonobos.
Yeah, and we've got a data feed service to pull any data they want out of our cloud, whether it's transactional data, order data, and things like that. The other thing some of our customers do is they actually instrument every screen with Google Analytics, so they could actually look at the path associates are going through, how much time they're spending on various sections of the application. One of our customers uncovered the fact that even when there wasn't a customer in the store, their associates were spending 25 to 30% of their time on the Tulip application just browsing the catalog and reading up on the various product details to become a product expert. So you wouldn't even see that unless you had some kind of analytics going to see the behavior on the usage data coming out of the application.
Great. I think we have time for just one more question here. We do have quite a number of other questions, which the team will respond via email after if we didn't get to your question. Any advice in terms of handheld fixed station kiosk, which could either be a self-serve or and then a fixed cash register? Thoughts on having a mix or trying to focus on one?
So I can talk, this is Dominique. So for us, we really actually want the customer and the guide to interact. So for us at this time, you know, we won't be moving forward with kind of a kiosk model, because for us, we think the value is actually in the relationship and the conversation. So for us, the point of sale and the Tulip application allows, you know, for us to spend more time with the customer, which for us is an incredibly important strategic focus. So we wouldn't be moving forward with kind of a self-serve kiosk at this time, and we really actually are enforcing more of the one-to-one conversation to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's true for most of our customers overall currently. I can see other categories where a kiosk may make sense, and that's a simple flip of the switch to turn Tulip from an associate app to a self-service app and give them a lot of the functionality we provide to associate directly to the consumer who walks in the store. So it's more of a business decision than a technology decision, that's for sure.
Terrific. Well, you know what? It's top of the hour, and I feel like we could go on forever. We've talked about this a great deal at NRF and shop.org and IRCE and other conferences, so it's very much a hot topic. I want to thank Dom and Bill for joining me today, and I want to thank all of you for joining us as well. And if you've got any questions for any of the other speakers, just email me at the email address here, marketing@fitforcommerce.com, and we will certainly direct your questions. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.